Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that, let's be honest, we all struggle with. Why is it so incredibly hard to do the things we say we're going to do? We all have these great goals, but there's this mysterious gap between our intentions and our actions. We're going to break down exactly why that gap exists, and more importantly, reveal a stunningly simple, science-backed method to finally close it.
Okay, let's start with a number that might just blow your mind. A 2002 study found that 43% of our daily behaviors are done out of habit. Just think about that for a second. Nearly half of everything you'll do today is basically happening on autopilot without you even consciously thinking about it.
And that brings up a huge question, right? If almost half our day is run by these subconscious routines, how much of our life is actually a product of our own conscious, deliberate choices? It really makes you think about all the invisible scripts that are quietly running our lives.
To get to the bottom of that, we first need to really understand the powerful force that's behind all this. Let's call it the habit autopilot.
So what is a habit? Well, it's just a routine that, because you've done it over and over again, becomes more or less a fixed way of thinking, feeling, or acting. And the key word here, the most important word, is subconsciously. These behaviors get so deeply carved into our brain's pathways that we just do them. No real decision-making involved. It's exactly why you can drive all the way home and suddenly realize, wait, I don't even remember the last 5 miles of that trip. Your habit autopilot was driving.
So how does our brain actually build these automatic behaviors? Well, it all boils down to this really simple 3-step neurological loop. First, there's a cue. That's the trigger. That cue leads to the routine, which is the action itself. And then finally comes the reward, which is what tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember this loop for the future. Cue, routine, reward. Simple, but incredibly powerful.
Okay, so this brings us to a struggle that is, I think, universal. We set new goals, we want to exercise more, we want to eat healthier, be more productive, but those powerful, pre-existing habit loops, they often get in the way, and they are strong. And you know what? The science totally backs this up. Research on what it takes to achieve our goals has found this surprisingly weak link between what we intend to do and what we actually do. Just wanting something, even if you desperately want it, only explains about a quarter of our actions. That's it. This is what we call the willpower gap. It's that incredibly frustrating space between what we plan to do and what we actually do. And listen, it's not that we lack motivation or that we have bad intentions. The problem is that when that moment of decision arrives, our old automated habit loops are just faster and stronger than our new conscious goals. The old programming wins. So, how do we give our good intentions a fighting chance? How do we finally bridge this gap? Well, the answer lies in a brilliantly simple and effective strategy, the if-then plan. The fancy name for this is an implementation intention, but all it is really is a pre-decision you make for a future situation. Instead of having some vague goal, you create a very specific plan in an if this happens, then I will do that format. You're deciding ahead of time how you're going to respond to a specific cue.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the difference. A goal like, I will exercise more, is nice, but it's vague. It relies entirely on your willpower in the moment. But an implementation intention like, if it is 5 p.m. on Monday, then I will go to the gym. See how different that is? It connects a specific situation, the if, directly with the behavior you want, the then. It just takes the whole decision out of the equation.
Now here's the really cool part. These if-then plans aren't just some clever mental trick. They fundamentally change how your brain works. You're essentially using your conscious, planning brain to write a new piece of code, a new script for your automatic, habit-forming brain to follow. So, by creating this plan, you're forging this super strong mental link between the situation, the if, and your desired action, the then. So when that cue shows up in the real world, the behavior gets triggered automatically, efficiently, just like an old habit. It completely removes that moment of hesitation where you might talk yourself out of it. It just automates the whole thing.
But okay, this rewiring isn't instant. It takes time, and more importantly, consistency. One landmark study found that, on average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become truly automatic. But look at that range. For some people and some habits, it was as little as 18 days. For others, it took over 8 months. So the key takeaway here isn't a magic number. It's that consistency is what forges that new neural pathway. Every single time you follow your plan, you make that connection stronger.
All right, so the theory sounds good, but does this simple if-then technique actually work in the real world? Oh yeah, the evidence is incredibly compelling across a whole range of behaviors. Let's just look at a few powerful examples.
So, in one study, researchers called potential voters. Some people just got a standard reminder call, but others, they were prompted to form a simple implementation intention. What time will you vote? Where will you be coming from? What will you be doing right before? That little planning exercise, just thinking through the if-then, increased voter turnout by over 4 percentage points. That's huge.
And the results are just as powerful when it comes to our health. In a study on weight loss, one group got all the usual health and diet info. The other group was asked to form specific if-then plans for their diet and exercise. So what happened after 2 months? The if-then group lost, on average, twice as much weight. Twice. They had the same goal, the same information, but a completely different outcome, all because of that simple plan.
But this next one, this one is even more dramatic. In a health study, women were encouraged to perform a breast self-exam. Of those who only formed the intention to do it, I should do that, just over half of them actually followed through. But what about the women who created a simple if-then plan, specifying when and where they do it? 100% of them did it. 100%. The difference is just staggering.
So, after all that, the question really comes back to you. What is one if-then plan you can create for yourself right now? I'm not talking about a huge life overhaul, just one small, meaningful action. What's the situation, the if, and what will be your automatic, pre-decided behavior, the then? Think about it. Maybe even write it down. You'll be one huge step closer to bridging that gap for good.